Hello everyone. This week's parsha is Parshat Eikev. It's based on a dvar Torah I heard from Rav Bernstein. It's online. His website Journeys in Torah. It's Eikev 2018. And he bases his dvar Torah on the words of the Chafetz Chaim in the introduction to the Chafetz Chaim's work, Ahavat Chesed. Okay, so we go to chapter 8, verse 6. Here's what it says. V'shamarta et mitzvot Hashem Elokecha, right? And you shall guard or keep the mitzvahs of the Lord your God, l'lechet bidrachav u'leyira oto, to walk in his ways and to fear him. Now, this pasuk we could kind of easily overlook it because what is it really saying? It's this kind of general idea: keep the mitzvahs, fear God. Okay, we get it. Moving on. But the Chafetz Chaim wants us to pay attention to something because this is saying something specific. Now, what is that? So it says the Chafetz Chaim, this phrase l'lechet bidrachav occurs 3 times in this week's parsha, and he draws our attention to it because we see chapter 8, verse 6. That's what we just read. Then if we go on and we go to chapter 10, verse 12, we see the following. The beginning of the 5th aliyah, Ve'ata Yisrael, right? Now, O Israel, Ma Hashem Elokecha shu'el mimach. What does the Lord your God ask from you? Ki im le'yirat Hashem Elokecha, but to fear the Lord your God. L'lechet b'chol drachav, to walk in his ways. U'la'ava oto, and to love him. Etc. And the pasuk goes on. Now, what's interesting about this is in chapter 8, verse 6, we see l'lechet bidrachav, to walk in his ways. So we see walking comes first. U'leyira oto, and then to fear him comes second. And yet, in chapter 10, verse 12, first we see leyira oto, yira comes first, and then we have l'lechet b'chol drachav, to walk in his ways, u'la'av oto. So not only do we have a flipping of the order, we also have this new concept called ahava. What's going on here? And then further, the Chafetz Chaim points out, in chapter 11, verse 22, at the beginning of the 7th aliyah, Kim shamor tishmrun et kol mitzvah azot asher anochi mitzaveh etchem lasota, right? Because if you are to guard these mitzvahs that I command you to do them, le'avad Hashem Elokechem. So here, before we saw yira, and then l'lechet b'chol drachav, and then ahava. Ahava comes after halicha, but here we have ahava first. Le'avad Hashem Elokechem, l'lechet b'chol drachav comes after ahava, u'ledavka ba, and a new concept. What is all of this saying? Why do we have these 2 different concepts? Why do we have the different orders? What is going on? Says the Chafetz Chaim. This is purposeful because each one of these ideas, that is to say yira, and then we go to ahava, and then we go to dveikut, that means we're going into progressively higher levels of our relationship to God. Because at first we start with yira, and then we go to ahava, and then we go to dveikut. And somehow this v'halachta b'drachav is interwoven between all of these ideas. That is the link between all of them. But how? Like, what is v'halachta b'chol drachav? What is that? So say Chazal, v'halachta b'drachav, walking in his ways, that means to emulate Hashem. We want to emulate him. We want to become like him. What does that mean? So mahu rachum, just as he is merciful, just as God is merciful, afatati rachum. So too should you be merciful. Now, what's going on here is we see this interweaving of these ideas of bein adam lamakom to bein adam lachavero, because at the end of the day, if we're trying to emulate God and to become more like him, how does that express itself? Clearly in your relationship to other people. Because it says, Mata rachum mahu rachum afatati rachum. Just as God is merciful, so too should you be merciful. Merciful to who? Merciful to God? Well, that doesn't make sense. How could you be merciful to God? Rather, it must mean be merciful to other people. So we see that the higher you develop on the scale of your relationship to God, the closer you become to him, then naturally that should be expressing itself in your bein adam lachavero mitzvahs. And we discussed this concept in Tisha B'Av, but at the end of the day, it's still Av, and these ideas still require reinforcement. We see this amazing, incredible, and important idea. That is to say, that a person who comes closer to God should have that being reflected in the way they treat other people. And the way we see that is through these progressively higher stages that the Psukim are bringing us to. First, again, we start with Yira, and then Ava, and then Dveikut. And the way we get there is that you should be walking with him. That is our message. For now, the more gracious you become to other people, the more patient you are with them, the more you judge other people favorably, and all these other ideas that forms a deeper relation between you and God. And this is the message of this week's Parshat Eikev. Shabbat Shalom, and have a good one.